and embarrassment to master could be helpful to man. He would come out of it with his mind at rest and with clearer ideas. A good way of doing would probably appear to him and would spare him getting entangled in a complicated situation. Probably you have to.
1 second.
Yeah. Ah, you all are not.
Sorry. Yeah.
You all are not among the cases which we have just mentioned, but sooner or later that will happen to you, and you will appreciate having in the depths of your heart a selfless and effective advisor. Never act in the grip of anger, tiredness, or exasperation, which can lead you to behaving in a harmful way for yourselves and for others. If you take stock of your life very sincerely, you will realize that these comments are not useless and would have helped you in many circumstances. Try as of now to be clear for the sake of your personal peace and those whom you mix with. We insist much on this aspect because it is one of man's failings. We would like you to hunt down in yourself all that which can curb your evolution. The more you advance, the more you must divest yourselves of all that burdens you. Our remarks are not moralizing. We want only to enlighten you so that you can more and more clarify your way of being. You will feel lighter, more active, and determined to advance. To see you going towards the goal and focusing all your efforts on this objective would fill us with joy. Divest yourself of useless luggage, full of a multitude of things devoid of interest. While advancing, you realize it yourself and you aspire to the purity and the lightness that a soul at peace does provide. Take stock of the situation, reflect and act accordingly. We will leave off there this long speech and these repetitions, but we wanted them to touch you deeply. Keep heart, Babuji.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So this is a little longer message,
Yeah.
but it's a very nice one. That's why I chose this. So we will not have too many people discussing about each para. Just want one or two people to focus on the first two, and then we will move on. Only one or two. No, whoever wants to deliberate on the first two paras. Does someone want to go? Go ahead, or you're still reading? Yes, brother.
I think Babuji is talking about one of the reasons why people don't tell the truth, which is fearing. And the fear is fear of how the other person may react or what they may think of us. That is one learning I got from this. And then that, it's a time bomb, right? Sooner or later, it'll catch up with us. And I've seen that also often. I think the other problem I found with myself, at least, is sometimes, it's a half truth. You kind of tell the truth, but not the whole truth. Right? You kind of either sugarcoat it or just say something. Sometimes I don't even know why it happens. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm fearful, and then say that. Just something just makes me do that. And yeah, that's
Thank you, brother. Yeah, brother Shrikant.
My learning from this is that in a brotherhood, like in our mission, candor is something that we need to uh, practice. In a soft way. I think that frankness that Master is speaking about, that will prevent so many build up. I mean, emotions building up in the future. Frankness is. That's what I learned after reading this.
Okay. Fine. Thank you, brother. So, yeah, many human tragedies could be avoided if true communication existed between beings. So the true communication, what has to be communicated, if it existed properly, many tragedies could be avoided. Fearing to say the truth is not always good behavior. It generates tensions and complications that could very often be avoided if your acts and words were guided by frankness. So we can avoid a lot of complications when we are trying to be frank, but we have seen that in the maxims, frankness, but at the same time, looking at harmony. And Brother Anand said that, many a times we are not able to kind of communicate what exactly we want to communicate, though we would like to. Maybe, it is the force of the moment, and we are afraid of the consequences, whatever it is. So that leads to its own complexities, and it leads to its own added effects further. Sometimes, to avoid doing evil, man gets tangled up in situations which are time bombs. Often psychological tragedies could be avoided by diffusing them from the outset. Simplicity and frankness can pay off in the good sense of the term. So it's all because of our, trying to kind of avoid doing bad. We can't measure up to things because we are not able to clearly see the situations, things, and understand things properly. So that leads to a lot of complications in relationships. So one of the clues that he gives is simplicity and frankness can help us to avoid certain scenarios being built up. Let's see further ahead. Someone else wants to kind of talk about the third para. Yes, brother Vishweshwara.
Yeah. Sister, in this paragraph, Babuji says that this situation is actually created by man himself. Sometimes when we tell a lie, in order to cover up that lie, we end up telling another lie. And like this, we almost end up making a web of lies. And once we reach a stage, it is very difficult for us to come out. Even if we know the truth and if we want to tell the truth, because we are already stuck so deeply in our falsified situation, it is difficult for us to come out. So that is a situation that we end ourselves up in. In order to come out of it and make sure that we do the right thing, the one thing which he suggested is to meditate, to surrender to the master, say that yes, I have made a mistake and I need a correction, and in that I need your help. And once we appeal to that great master, the solution will come and we will be able to come back to the right track of mind. That's what I get from the paragraph, sister.
Thank you. So man himself creates complicated situations from which he does not know anymore how to extricate himself, as you said, explained already. In certain circumstances, it would be advantageous for him to commune with himself before speaking or acting. So it's better to reflect, pause, introspect before we really talk or we act on whatever thoughts are coming in our mind, whatever we need to do. Taking the trouble to sit down, meditate very deeply while surrendering one's worries and embarrassment to master could be helpful to man. he would come out of it with his mind at rest and with clearer ideas. A good way of doing would probably appear to him and would spare him getting tangled in a complicated situation, which we read in the second para above. Okay, someone else for the next one. Okay, if no one wants to kind of go ahead.
Shall I read, sister?
Yeah, not read. I want you to just give few points from there. Whatever we read.
Whatever you just read, no?
Yeah, see, this para which is being shown, you all are not among the cases. Can you just give one or two few points what you could get from there? We have already read this, and I'm sure you would have read it in your mind now. And what thoughts come to your mind? What do you think about this paragraph? Just deliberate those points.
Yeah, sister.
Yeah.
So, right now we may not understand the importance of pausing, reflecting, but that's what Master is saying. But sooner or later, we will know that in the depths of our heart, there is an advisor who will make us like in the last paragraph. He will relax our mind, rest our mind. Then we will know the importance. But we should never act in anger or in tiredness, because it will definitely lead to harmful way of our, not only for ourselves, it will harm not only ourselves but also others. So take stock of yourself sincerely, means introspect again sincerely, meditate, and you will realize that these comments are not useless, and these are really help us in many situations. So try as of now to be clear for the sake of your personal peace. So it's for our personal peace and also for others who are our inner circle.
Yeah.
We insist much on this aspect because it is of one of man's thing. Like we should try to deal. That's what I understood.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you all are not among the cases which we have just mentioned in the previous paragraph. He has referenced that you are, when you are put under such situations, how would you react? You have to, you have not been really at the wrong end, but sooner or later that will happen to you. So you will undergo tests and you will come across situations where you will have to kind of pause, reflect, and go deep and then react. And you will appreciate having in the depths of your heart a selfless and effective advisor. So we all know what it is, who he is. Never act in the grip of anger, tiredness, or exasperation, which can lead you to behaving in a harmful way for yourself and for others. So our actions not only have consequences for us, but also those who are around us. If you take stock of your life very sincerely, you will realize that these comments are not useless and would have helped you in many circumstances. So these things, if you can apply to yourself, it can help you in a long way. So this there are two lines of the next para, and then yes, brother, you want to say something?
Oh, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
If it's okay. See, the second sentence will happen. You will appreciate having in the depths of your heart a selfless and effective advisor. What is who is Bobji referring to that? Your higher self or something, or is it? Or
we are all in touch with ourselves, and who is a selfless and effective advisor? Your master.
Okay.
That's my take on that.
Okay. Thank you.
So the next para, try as of now to be clear for the sake of your personal peace and those whom you mix with. We insist much on this aspect because it's one of man's failings. We would like you to hunt down in yourself all that which can curb your evolution. The more you advance, the more you must divest yourselves of all that burdens you. Our remarks are not moralizing. We want only to enlighten you so that you can more and more clarify your way of being. You will feel lighter, more active, and determined to advance. To see you going towards the goal and focusing all your efforts on this objective would fill us with joy. So anyone wants to kind of highlight a few points from this? Yes, Brother Shrikant.
Related to this, Master has given a practical spot cleaning, what he calls it, rather than what we do in the evening, half an hour cleaning. Like if there is any disturbance in condition after an event, of course we do spot cleaning. But I mean, sharing my experience, there was a challenging situation which I had to kind of encounter, and I did this spot cleaning, and I felt lighter, and then you know, did whatever work I had to do, that interaction part, and that really helped. So three things which Babuji says here in the previous paragraph, if you could kindly go to the previous page, those can be avoided. If we do spot cleaning, those, with that lightness, there will be some kind of balance, and, we'll be in a better position to deal with the situation.
Thank you. So try as of now to be clear for the sake of your personal peace and those whom you mix with. We insist much on this aspect because it's one of man's failings. So we are not able to be at peace with ourselves as well as keep a peaceful environment around us because we lack clarity and we act in those three in a grip of anger, tiredness, or exasperation, which leads to all the confusions that we create. The more you advance, the more you must divest yourselves of all that burdens you. So as we are progressing, we must divest from everything that are a burden to our being. Our remarks are not moralizing. So these are not moral embodiments or moral statements. We want only to enlighten you so that you can more and more clarify your way of being. You will feel lighter, more active, and determined to advance. To see you going towards the goal and focusing all your efforts on this objective would fill us with joy because that's what they are striving for our growth and evolution, and they want to see us grow faster and also more in a more steadier manner. So I will come to the last para. Anyone wants to go ahead with that? Divest yourself of useless language, full of a multitude of things, devoid of interest. While advancing, you realize it yourself and you aspire to the purity and the lightness that a soul at peace does provide. Take stock of the situation, reflect and act accordingly. We will leave off there this long speech and these repetitions, but we wanted them to touch you deeply. Keep heart. So divest yourself of useless luggage, sorry, not language, luggage, full of a multitude of things devoid of interest. So it doesn't really help anyone, whatever we are carrying, all the things. While advancing, you realize it yourself. So as we progress, we are able to kind of, in the retrospect, see that what are our mistakes, what are the things which, what are our shortcomings, and we will be able to correct it and move on. And aspire for the purity and lightness that a soul at peace does provide. And then take stock of the situation, reflect and act accordingly. We'll leave off these. So we'll stop here. But just wanted to remind you is what he says. So this in a kind, yes, Brother Kishore Bhatt.
Sister, for the first page, where some true communication was being discussed, I have one doubt or concern, and I
Yeah.
take liberty to ask, because this is not very good to say ask thing, but sometimes when we see in some situations, especially some centers where, we see few things which are not very optimal, or be it whatever, and the challenge is like, if we want to say something, or if we ask something, that is seen like, challenging authority type of, oh, he's asking kind of thing.
Hmm.
And so generally, what we tend to do is we just, live with it or ignore it. Okay, let's continue our work, what we are supposed to do it, and leave it aside.
Hmm.
Uh, so we don't complain of it, or not even share of it, because we know the other party is not going to either accept or acknowledge, or but what was striking to me, like what Babuji is saying here, sometimes to avoid doing evil, um, should we raise anything, or we should continue to be with it, or how such things should be dealt with, if we see few things.
See, one of the ways masters have asked us is using our heart to communicate as far as possible. Look at it from both the angle, from where we are coming and where the other person is also coming, where the other abhyasi is also coming, and we understand if we are in a better position than them to understand that, well, why am I even kind of trying to bring this up, and what harm it's going to cause either to an individual or a group of people, or even to the center itself. I think we need to understand who is the right person to communicate and in what way. We will have to kind of, first of all, understand how we can communicate and who's the right person to do it. So having done that, we will have to do it in a way so that it doesn't kind of show to someone that, hey, I'm pointing to you your weakness, or it's not that I'm complaining to you, but you put forward the point in such a way that, see, this is the problem, this is the issue I see, and this is the harm that it is bringing, or this is the problem it is causing, and I just want to basically help out. I mean, we should not just take only a complaint or a problem to a person. Probably, if we can offer a solution, it is always helpful. But of course, it depends on if the other person is ready to accept it or not. But heartful communication with the genuine interest to correct would help, is my suggestion. You can try that out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Brother Ravindra? But that's a very good point that you brought up. Thank you, brother. That's a very important thing.
Sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, just now I'm about to express same thing, heartfulness communication of this complete whisper. This whisper is completely concentrating on centering on our personal practice, meditation, introspection, and cleaning. And then communication from heartfulness. Listening completely is the situation, reading the situation, understanding, and then heart will directly prompt you to how to respond in as per Lalaji Maharaj's communication skills. So it is how to understand the opposite persons in what situation he is there. If it is in argumental or language dominance or something, because other person may not be an abjasi. Because we are practicing from our perspective, we are in that concentrated, constant remembrance. This master who is taking the entire thing for being sitting in our hearts, he is managing it. Because in one of the heartfulness books, recently I read one chapter where our way of behavior should not bring impressions on others, because they don't have the skill of cleaning themselves. We have cleaning with them. So while talking to them, our behavior should not get in as an impression, a bad impression, maybe good impression. We should not reflect on others because they don't have the technique of cleaning. So that burden is also ours only. We have to take that care of others also. Then only they can understand. That's the ninth maxim comes there.
Yeah.
In the ninth comes the reflection of our love, our attitude, our smoothness reflects.
Yeah.
So even after so much of situation of very anger or depressed or something situation, also we are very peaceful, very lovable. Our attitude is very smooth, very straight, very encourageable, giving more of courageous in others. This is what Masters expects from us, from our Jesus. I think this is, I understood from this maxim. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, brother. Sister Vasanta.
Sister Namaste. Good evening, everyone. I would like to just add one more thing. In the recent message, Dadaji has given guardians to the sacred. He has given instructions how to do and how to talk with the functionaries, and if there is a problem, how to approach. Dadaji has always advised us what to do in those situations. He has, in recent talks also he has given. I think we can follow it. Of course, the communication should be as said in the message. It should be truthful. And if it is not going in our way, we can just ignore and come and suitably inform the functionaries, whoever is there. And that is my thinking. I don't know if it is right or wrong.
I mean, yeah, it depends on the situation. It depends on what the situation demands, we'll have to do. But Master is asking, I mean, in the fearing to say the truth is not always the right thing. So he's asking us to say the fear, but I mean, to say the truth, probably explore the ways of saying the truth so that we don't otherwise lose an opportunity for correction as well as the proper communication. So he wants us to find out and not complicate things. Thank you. Thank you all. So let's proceed to the magazine, today's magazine. Be happy to eat in constant divine thought, whatever you get, with due regard to honest and pious earnings. So continuing with the various magazines for living, how to mold our living in such a way that it helps us to divinize ourselves more and more. So now he's, through this maxim, he's allowing us to help in two or three aspects. One is related to, these are all related to our material living. So be happy to eat in constant divine thought. So one is related to one of the most important aspect of our existence, which is the food intake. How this mundane activity can be turned into a divine activity. How can we use this for our well-being? So that's one part. And the second part is with due regard. And there's another part. There are many ways we can dissect this. Be happy to eat in constant divine thought. First thing is he's asking us to be happy and to eat in constant divine thought. Be happy and have a constant divine thought to eat whatever we get. Whatever we get. He says whatever is available, whatever we are provided with. And then the second part is with due regard to honest and pious earnings. So this is about how we earn this food or the living. What should be the way? So regarding giving enough importance to the honest and pious earnings. So let us try to understand. The philosophy involved in this starts from materiality and ends in the final state we all have to arrive at. So the philosophy involved in this whole maxim is, it is starting from the materiality, our existence. So from the existence, how we can turn that materiality into reality or the realization or the ultimate state of being. And the first word when he says, eat in, be happy. So what is happiness? If we look at, what makes us happy, what is being happy, how does it help? Happy disposition. Happiness is a state of mind. It's a disposition of the mind. So it's a state. So a happy disposition is a state which percolates its effect upon the lower layers, purifies them, and prepares for higher states. So he says, just by trying to be happy, the happiness itself actually helps us to purify ourselves. The state of our happiness, it affects not just at a superficial level, but it also percolates to the deeper layers of our being, and it helps in the purification of those things. So let's try to understand what makes us happy. What are all the things that can make us happy? Happiness can come due to many things. It can happiness can be identified. Happiness or a state of satisfaction in our material life can happen due to various things. We are happy when we achieve something. We are happy when we get something, and we are happy when we become something, and we are happy when we get the desired results. So these are all the various conditions, the conditions under which one can be happy. But is this the true happiness? Is it permanent? And what is the result of this? At what level is this happiness affecting us? And is it really truly being happy? So if we try to dissect that, we understand that these are all not happiness. This is basically just a superficial state of our being, which is very temporary. It depends on what the result that we are asking for. So we are trying to achieve something, we are trying to get something or to become something, and if that happens, we are happy, and if that doesn't happen, we are unhappy. So it has opposites. So this is not really true happiness. So these things are associated with our ego or the I. So where the individual or identity is involved. And when the identity is involved and when that is satisfied, it only boosts the ego, and it can only create more and more layers. So that is not the real happy disposition. Real happy disposition is something which is more purer. It is not dependent on something. It is not dependent on things external to us. Happy disposition is something which is very intrinsic to our existence. And that happens irrespective of the condition in which one is. Whether I'm happy, whether I possess something, whether I get what I want, or even when I'm sad, if I can be joyful, if I can be happy under all circumstances, that is permanent happiness. What are the things which can really lead us to that? That which is not dependent on the ego. It's not dependent on what I possess. So it's not based on the material possessions or material happenings. Let us say, what can keep me happy? If I am feeling very sad for something, and if I can get a hug from a person who's who cares for me, and they come and just pat my shoulder and then a smile, will it not make me happy? And where is that happiness? Is it basically is it a possession? No, it is basically affecting my inner being. So here someone is trying to console, someone is trying to show their love, their affection towards us, and that also makes us happy. So that goes to the next level. And at the deepest level, the happiness doesn't depend on anything. It doesn't depend on whether I have something, whether I don't have something, whether someone really cares or not. because we are in really touch with the reality within us, and that will basically affect my being. And also we have seen, see, happiness, how in a existence, how happiness helps anyone. Even psychologists say that when a person smiles, it releases the good hormones, which are helpful for our well-being. Whereas if we are sad, the opposite, it has its opposite effect. So simple mundane things can turn our existence into something which can be evolutionary. So Babuji is kind of taking us, saying that look at the things that you do in your life and see how it can affect you at deeper and deeper levels. So this is a state which may aptly be taken as next to the divine, pointing towards our final goal. Which one? The permanent happy disposition, that which is not dependent on anything outside me. So thus eating with remembrance can become part of a spiritual discipline. So partaking food in remembrance is part of a spiritual discipline or a regime that we can follow. We'll see a little more about this. Fixing our thought on it means taking into account which is our final goal. So fixing our thought on what? On the divinity. So keeping our thought fixed on the divine means we are basically focusing on our goal in our view, and with that cognizance we are acting. So in other words, we begin from the point beyond which remains but that alone. And what is that? That's nothing but reality. And this is the warp and woof which has been interwoven by nature herself. So this is the base. This is the base or the interface that has been given by the nature herself. Nature has created this base, the base of the remembrance and the happy disposition, the disposition of the mind being happy. So that puts us, or it orients us towards our final goal or the real goal. We may call it as a material aspect of nature. Though materiality be only for namesake, which reveals the nature of real being. So what exactly does it mean? We may call it as material aspect. Which one? Happiness. We can call it as a material aspect. Why? Because we, in a normal sense, associate happiness with the things which happen in our daily lives. So it may appear to be material in nature because it is also basically available for human conception. We can conceptualize this. So we can understand from a human perspective, happiness is perceivable. So there can be a confusion as to, this is just a material thing and this cannot really connect us to the realization or reality. But to understand this, we must understand one thing. Happiness is like a key to the door, to the world of reality. So let's just imagine a door which is, opening to the outer world, and then the inner world is reality, and there is a door and you have a key. So the key which is just on the door, is it in the outer world or is it in the inner world? Where does it belong to? How can we say whether it is in the outer material world or is it in the inner world? It is neither there. It is neither inside nor outside, or you can say that it is part of both. It is part of both the material aspect as well as the real or the ultimate, because this is the key with which we can open the door and we can access reality. So happiness is the key or the interface which bridges the external, the material world to the real world. So he is using happiness as a means to access the reality. So he is using this the word materiality only from this sense. So the word materiality is used only because after all it comes into human conception. So we are able to perceive it. Hence we think that. Possibly men may misunderstand it as a veil of Maya, but that would not be correct. Because anything is perceivable to us, we think it's grossness, it's heavy, it's a veil of Maya, but it is not so. This is in fact the state which pervades the entire sphere of Maya. This is a door from which we can access the reality. So it encompasses the entire world, entire sphere of Maya. Now we fix it up in our thought. That is which thought? The thought of the ultimate at the time of taking food. So the effect of that filters down on the substance which is there. So when we are connected to the thought of ultimate, when we are in a divine remembrance or a constant remembrance, and when we want to partake the food, so the way he brings it up, this is the science of this is, see, food that we intake is in front of us and it has its own vibratory level, its own consciousness, and it can be sourced from various places. So now that needs to be consumed by us. And so it is very much possible that it is true that the consciousness of both us as well as the food, they are at different level, depending upon what we consume. So irrespective of the differences in the consciousness, if we have to benefit from that, what Babuji is saying is, fix it up in our thought. That is what, at the thought of the ultimate at the time of taking food. You are not yet taken food. The food is in front of you. Just before that, pause, put your mind on the divinity, connect yourself to the divinity, and be in a state of happiness. Be in a state of joy, or in the ultimate state of that is gratitude. If you can bring that state of gratitude and joy, and you're connected to the divine, so you are connecting yourself to the source, and you are basically changing your own vibratory level to a higher level. So your normal level of vibration may be something else, but now this act of connecting with the ultimate and also being in a state of gratitude, it changes the equation completely. So its effect now, through your thought, you are looking at the food and you are trying to kind of consume it. Look at that. You are changing the entire composition of that food which is in front of you, and its consciousness changes. So whatever it is, its consciousness changes and it becomes more conducive for our system, our need. When we eat it, taken in by it enters our body and begins to spread all through our veins and arteries. So when we change the nature of this food, the effect that it produces inside is completely different, because we are what we eat. We all know that. So once the food is taken in, it is broken down into those molecules, and those molecules are absorbed. And we also know that our own molecules, our own atoms, they are all being changed every now and then. There is a periodicity. Except some certain tissues and organs, most of the things are being reproduced periodically. So today, at present, each of us, what we are is our own food. So if that's the case, if I can, through my thought as well as my disposition, the state of my being, if I can change the vibratory level of the food, it can definitely change the effect it can produce on me. So in other words, we have utilized to our best purpose the thing which we take in from outside. So whatever it is, whatever we are taking from outside, now we are making it conducive for our growth. The particles and atoms of the body begin to be purified. So this aids in the purification of our material, the constitution of our Annamaya Kosha itself, and also the other koshas. The impulse of thought created thereby combines with food and helps to promote our physical and spiritual health. So the impulse of thought created by this. So first we are looking at the food, we are converting it, we are transforming it, and the transformed food is getting into us, and that food in turn is transforming our being. Look at the beauty. We are at a higher conscious level compared to the food that we intake. But for some reason, we are not able to change our consciousness directly. Instead, what we are doing is we are using the external means, which is whose consciousness is of a different nature, of a lower nature probably. That we are using, our thought and our disposition can alter its consciousness, and that when it enters our body, it can it can further change our consciousness. So we are utilizing the food in this way. The power of prana being all pervasive, nothing is free from its influence. It is inside the food as well as outside the food. So the power of prana, which is everywhere, the prana which is prevalent everywhere. So everything is surrounded by it. So it is there in the food, it is there outside, it is there in us. We apply the push of our thought into it. Which thought? The thought of divinity, the disposition of gratitude, which brings it to a state similar to that which causes spark by friction, though it is somewhat different and purer. So it's at its own level before, but now our thought is pushed into it. Now its state becomes similar to something which causes spark by friction, though it is somewhat different and purer. So I was just trying to kind of understand why does it, why should there be a spark by friction? Because these two consciousnesses are at different levels. So when the food which is taken in of a different consciousness has come in, it cannot easily just merge into this. So there will be some resistance, there will be some fight, and as a result of that, there can be a spark that is produced because of the friction. But here, it could be different and purer is what he is hinting. How? That which springs up by our contact with reality leads us towards the supreme. If we are at a state of divinity, and if our disposition is of divinity, that is reality, then the spark that is produced is basically, it moves us towards the divinity. It moves us towards the ultimate. But if we are not in that state, then the friction can cause a different effect altogether. The power below it not being capable of the job. So anything below reality is not capable of pushing it towards the supreme. So if we have to produce the right friction to move us towards the supreme, our disposition has to be at the state of ultimate or reality. And it has to be backed by gratitude. Human imagination has no access to it. So we can't imagine this. We can't really perceive this. This paves our way to the infinite. Thus, so much distance is covered so very easily. So what he's saying is, so all you need to do is change your disposition. See, we may be at different vibratory states at different points of time. We cannot always maintain the higher vibratory state. But before food, change your vibratory state. Pause. Change yourself. Give that. Transmit to that. We are actually transmitting our divinity to that. And that transforms the food. Now take that in. Then you become divine. You move towards divinity. And Babuji says, our rules provide for taking food in remembrance of God. That is, in our practice, it is always prescribed to take food in the remembrance of God. All our actions should likewise be such as may be helpful to us in the attainment of the ideal. So all the thoughts and actions should be helpful for this attainment of the realization of the ultimate. while taking food, we fix our thought upon the ultimate which we have finally to attain, in order to take in its effect too and increase our purity all the more. So we fix our thought. It's the same thing that we discussed. In order to take in its effect and increase our purity all the more. Thus, right way of eating itself becomes a step in the journey to the goal. So a mundane activity like eating, see, we all eat at least 2 times, and sometimes more than that, 3-4 times. So every activity, every time we eat in remembrance, and we eat with this attitude, transforming the food that we eat. Look at the miracle it can produce on us. That's why he insists on eating in the right disposition and with the connection to divinity. So few more points here. So that means when he is saying, in the first thing itself, he says, be happy to eat in constant divine thought, whatever you get. So do we have a choice in eating whatever we want? So, or should we just accept whatever comes to my plate? I should just eat it without really minding about taste and other things, and what type of food to consume. All these questions can come to us. So one of the things that we need to understand is we have a choice to eat what we want, provided we are making the right effort to get the food, which is the second part. That is, if it is earned in a honest and pious earning. I mean, it is through the honesty and pious earning. That is backing that. So through our pious earnings, I have the right to earn whatever I need, and with that I can prepare or I can procure the food that is needed, that is deemed to be good for my body and mind. And I am at freedom to do that. But we need to keep in mind, what is the attitude? Why am I consuming? And what is that I want to achieve? Is it only to fulfill the taste buds? Or is it because I derive happiness by eating, which is again, temporary? Or what is the purpose? So what is the disposition with which I am able to kind of eat the food? Because whatever we earn, whatever we eat, if I'm not able to be happy when I'm eating, it is not going to give the desired result. Here, happiness is not just a normal happiness, but really joy and gratitude. Let us look at, if the food is earned in a non-pious way, not by the right means, what is the effect that it is going to produce on me? The moment it is not earned in the right way, there is already an unhappiness, there is a guilt which is at the back of my mind. And when there is this inherent guilt or unhappiness behind my mind, how can I change my vibratory level to happiness or gratitude, so that it can actually cast the right effect on me? Whatever it is, it could be the best of the foods in the world. It cannot produce the right effect for me to become purer and to become more nobler. It is not possible. So it's very important to kind of look at how we procure the food. And also one thought about the non-vegetarian food. We talk, we keep discussing about that. Which food is the best to consume? We talk about tamasic food, rajasic food, and all that. So one thing to keep in mind is, when one tries to consume the non-vegetarian food, we will have to look at the consciousness of that food that we are partaking. When compared to the plant-based diet, a non-vegetarian diet is coming by taking the life of the animal. And animals have their own feelings. They have fear, they have distress, and they are filled with all their, they do have relationships. So when it is separated from its group and when it is killed, it can cast all its feelings, which can be impressed upon the body of that animal. So, and it is hard to basically convert that consciousness to something which is lighter and which can be conducive for our evolution when we try to consume. So that's always going to be a tougher task compared to the plant diet, whose consciousness is much lighter. So there again, it has its own sensations, but it is not, it doesn't have these things which we are talking about an animal. So it's better that, a plant-based diet is consumed, which doesn't really take us consciousness more higher, more grosser. It doesn't lead us to, deteriorate our consciousness. Also, consuming it in the right way, even if it is vegetarian food, if it is not consumed in the right disposition, it is not really going to be helpful. It will make us more heavier and grosser, and it may not really be very helpful for our own existence. So, this is about the purity, the piety, as well as, pious earnings. We have originated from purity. The pure streams, which were the cause of our coming into being, had also originated from the purest source. And for that reason, the thought of purity persisted in us all through. So this we have seen. We have gone through already. We have all originated from purity. The pure streams, which were the cause of our coming into being, also had originated from the purest source. And for that reason, the thought of purity persisted in us all through. Never can any impurity enter into them. Not even the ravages of time could affect them in any way. So even time is not going to alter this purity. It is going to remain pure the way it was from the beginning. Now, because these currents had come from a very powerful source, they were permeated with absolute purity. So, because they have come from the origin and they have maintained that absolute purity. These currents are really the result of the action of the original stir, which had caused the creation and which were perfectly pure. Whatever came into existence through their medium was also perfectly pure in its original state. So these currents came from purity, absolute purity. So they retained that the purity, perfect purity, and whatever also came into existence through that medium was also pure. But the influence of time stained their purity, and this was the result of our own actions and doings, as explained under Maxim 4. So we have seen how our creation has happened. We resulted in our creation, and our creation, our action and the reaction, that resulted in, because of our individuality, it resulted in lot of coverings. It stained the purity. The thing got from nature is very pure because its basis is purity. The thing earned by man can also remain in a pure state when that is got through pure and pious means. So one thing to understand is, whatever we have acquired through nature is pure because of its original nature, and whatever we have earned can also remain in a pure state, provided we are connected to the purity at all times, and also the piety, the pious means, which means all our thoughts and actions, if they are pure and they are perfect, then there is no reason why we have to deviate from the purity. There is no reason at all. Purity will always remain with us, and we don't have to form our own veils of Maya and our own knots. There is no need to create that. We can remain in the pure state. The influence thereof will affect the nearest layers and help to purify this human web. Just like what we saw in the food. When we are in a state of happiness, and when we are in the touch of divinity, what happens? Its effect of its result, it will also affect the nearest layers and help to purify this. Very similar action here also. So when our thoughts and actions, they are purer, everything gets purified, and everything is affected in the right way, so that all our web, whatever we have created, it dissolves, or we don't even create any of them. We have a choice not to create anything. So this is the reason why sages have laid so much stress upon honest and pious earnings. So he says that's the reason why there is so much of importance given to honest and pious earnings. So if, just look at the opposite. If we are not honest in everything, let us take, honesty is not just in thinking and doing our own job. It is also in doing anything else. Even let us say we have been given to do any task. If we are not honest and if we don't have purity, we cannot do the job in a proper way. And we fall short of the mark which we are supposed to reach in our task. That's also dishonesty. So if I cannot execute my task in the right way, that's in a way dishonest, being dishonest, not living up to the true potential. Because we have been endowed with immense potential. And if I can remain pure, I can reach to that maximum potential and execute the task in the correct way, in the right manner it is supposed to be. And by maintaining the purity, and also using the right means to earn our living, we transform everything that happens along with us. We transform everything that, that comes along our way. So we don't fall short of anything, and we don't create samskaras, and we really don't astray from the path. And for that, all our practices, the meditation practice, and then the AEIOU that we do, where we identify meditation puts us into a state which is akin to the purity and also the happiness, the state of gratitude. And that when we enliven that, and when we imbibe that, and then make it ours and perfectly merge with that, it can create these conditions which are necessary for our growth. So Babuji is in a way saying that look at everything that you do and use the right means for you to progress, to become the best version of what you are or what you have to be. So with this, I stop here. And any questions? Yes, sister.
Good evening, sister. Hello. Good
Yes,
evening.
sister. A little louder, please.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah.
I just wanted a more clarification on the second para. The word materiality is used for only because, after all, it comes into the human conception. Possibly, people may misunderstand it as veil of Maya, but that would not be correct. That is the fact that the state pervades the entire sphere of mind. Could you please explain this in a little bit deeper, sister?
Second. Sorry. So where we call it the material aspect, that's where you wanted the clarity?
It's like possibly people may misunderstand it as a veil of Maya. Yeah.
But
last
that would not be correct.
Correct. Yeah. The last 3 points. Yeah.
So he is calling it as a material sense because we use this, we all can perceive, we all can feel this happiness, right? Happiness is a state which can be felt at various levels. It can be felt at its grossest level, and it can also be felt at the, finer levels also. Since it is perceivable by us, it is something that is connected to our, perception, this word materiality is being used because it is more, conceivable for the human mind. And people, possibly men, may misunderstand it as a veil of Maya, because whatever is perceivable, we think it is not pure. That's our understanding, right? Whatever is perceivable for our mind it's not pure. It is not reality. It is gross. It is, the veil of Maya, which means it is a impression. So, which is not so. It apparently, it just appears as Maya, but that is the key towards reality. If we can use it in the right way, it can move you towards reality. This is in fact the state which pervades the entire sphere of Maya. The entire sphere of Maya is veiled by this, what is this? Happiness, the state of happiness, the real happiness, which is actually, whose ultimate state is gratitude.
Okay, understood, sister. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Yes, brother.
Me sister, Shrikant, shall I go ahead?
Yeah.
Actually, when we offer a grain of rice or whatever as prasad initially, and then when we eat in meditative state, I've tried it many times. After we, especially when we are having lunch at home, it'll get ingested. You can experience, when you get a burp. And in addition to that, another benefit is that after we finish having lunch, we'll have only good thoughts to communicate to, whoever has cooked, maybe a wife or maybe mother. I mean, effortlessly, good thoughts come about the food, and we can communicate. So there is some kind of a chain reaction,
Yeah.
positive chain reaction associated with this maxim.
Yeah. I mean, I missed saying that. So it is not just partaking, procuring, as well as then cooking everywhere. It can be, at all these stages. When it is cooked with the right attitude, there itself it can be divinized, and then the right effect. Then the one who is consuming that he or she also has to be in the right disposition, the right state of mind. Only then it is beneficial. So even a prasad, if we kind of take it casually, I'm not sure whether it can be really effective. It depends on the attitude, our own attitude, and our the reverence. If we take it in reverential gratitude, it can cast its desired result on us, not otherwise.
Yeah, and we can cultivate taste also, actually.
Yes, Brother Anant. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned from this is, I shouldn't be watching TV while eating food. So I'm just thinking, so what should I mean, I'm trying to think about how do I put this in practice? Because I've seen sometimes, I've seen some people when I come to Bandara, in the canteen, in the dining hall, they'll bring the food and they'll sit with closed eyes. I also do that, but I'm not sure what should I think, or do I just think about the divine light in my heart or something like that? I don't know how to put it in practice. So would like some help.
Yeah. I know this is this is one of the things which troubles all of us. What do we do when we have food in front of us? One of the things masters have given us is, he says, both at the beginning as well as at the end of the meal, thank the giver, basically, whoever has produced this food. Thank all of them who have been responsible for producing food. And also pray for the elevation of everyone who has been involved in this production. The food has come to my plate, whoever has been responsible. Pray for everyone's welfare, and also pray that the essence of this food really enrich my system and made me beneficial for the food as well as us. One of the things which I forgot to kind of just bring it during this session is, see, I feel that when we are actually offering this, when we are connecting ourselves to the divinity and we are in that state of gratitude, the transformation that's happening to the food is also its experience, its consciousness is changing. So it's an experience for it. For me, it's a thought, but it could be an experience for the one which is being consumed by me. So that itself, it is transforming it. It is giving it a divine experience which is getting into my system. So there is just a reverence and a gratitude with which I consume that. Even that itself will have its desired result, is my feeling.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sister.
Sister.
Brother Ravindra.
Sister. Hello.
Yes, brother.
Yeah, this while consuming this food, the process, the material is food is a material. We are praying and with the thoughtful, with the subtle. As soon as we take the food into our hand and consuming it, somewhere this AIY is touching there. While I'm acquiring the food as prasad in my hand, sooner I get it, we feel happy, from the heartfulness happy. And saliva start flowing in our mind to have it immediately with interest and with devotion. So after enlivening it, we munch it, we consume it, and we will become imbibed in our stomach. Slowly we'll become one with it. And finally, the food is converted into glucose, and the glucose is converted into energy. That is most subtle thing. It is occupying entire body. And only additional thing what Master is saying, we are applying with devotion, constant remembrance, that Master himself is having his food on the table. And that is the subtlest charging the food. And we are gratitude to the person who served and who cooked. And finally, the person who plowed as a farmer. And it will go on to again it will go back to the source reality, that where this everything is emerged along with human beings, the food and food particles, rain, these all panchabhutas, everything we are getting. Without rain, food cannot be. Without plowing, cannot be. See, there is every sense, there is everywhere. The effect is there. And finally, human beings, we are consuming it to reach again that same goal, same source. So this is how the matching of AIO with taking the food from material to the subtle level up to the reality. If I am wrong, please correct me, sister.
I think you're correct, brother. I don't see anything wrong there. I don't know.
Because already once I think last year maybe we discussed, when Raghu brother came to our city in Bellary, somewhere this has been discussed. How to understand AIOU. Here food, he gave beautiful example of food. But during meditation, after end of the meditation or bandara, the essence, the condition what we are arriving with a lot of sensitivity and observation, alertness, that to acquire that is a little bit difficult for me it was. But after understanding this example of a food comparison to food, it has become very easy for me. So from that, acquiring the meditation condition, imbibing it as a food, and assimilating it, that condition, and throughout becoming one with it. And throughout the day, remembering that food, morning I took a food, it was so beautiful, so nice, toast, tasty. Oh, even night also that particular food was served in the first plate. I came, it was very good. That remembrance, the continuity of remembering that, sometimes it will happen.
Thank you, brother, for summarizing this. It was a nice summarizing the thing with the reference to AIO. Anyone else? Anything else?
Sister?
Yeah.
Sister. So, sister, here he refers that lower layers and purifies it. He says a happy disposition is a state that percolates its effect upon the lower layers and purifies them. Here, layers means what can we understand, sister? Maybe this Annamaya kosha, this koshas. Do you mean to say this koshas? Annamaya kosha,
It could be
kosha.
both, yeah, both koshas as well as even our own chakras as well. I mean, yeah, because it is like, we are going from outside to inside. So
Yeah.
from outside, it is purifying, it is penetrating into all the deepest layers of our being, various layers of our existence.
So that is panchakoshas, you mean to say?
Both the kosha at the kosha level as well as at the chakra level, both the things.
Okay, sister. Thank you, sister.
Sister,
Yes, brother.
how the purities help in our spiritual journey or progress? The purity, how it is help us in our spiritual journey?
If we are pure in our thought and action, whatever we do becomes divinized, which means we don't form our ego is not, we are not involved in egocentric actions and reactions. So the scope for forming impressions and samskaras becomes very minimal. So we can maintain the purity and we can move towards the reality. So purity in our thought and action will not give us scope for making any impressions.
In all aspects, sister, food, where our thoughts and our environment, including everything.
Yeah. We'll have to just realize, summarize all the maxims that we went through. Everything, every aspect of that existence helps us to remain pure and then refine the entire way of living. All the aspects of our living become affected because of the purity in the right way.
It speed up our progress.
Sorry?
It speed up our progress, spiritual progress.
So does it help us to speed up the spiritual progress is what you're asking?
Yes, sister.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Okay, sister. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Yes, Srinivas and then Kishore.
Yeah. Sister, one sentence here. That which springs up by our contact with reality leads us towards the supreme. The power below it not being capable of the job. What does that springs up our contact?
That which is, yeah. What is the result? See, we are trying to push our thought to the material that is being in front of us, the food. So, and if my thought is in touch with the reality, then it springs up the feeling of, it arouses the feeling of the supreme. And any power below the reality, if I'm not in that state of purity, then it cannot spring, it cannot give me the desired result.
Okay. So that our thought process and our thought on the reality.
My state and my thought, both. The state as well as thought, both together.
Okay, sister. Thank you.
Brother Kishore.
Yeah, so for food, while thanking to God, while taking that, remembering Him, and uh, I also heard there somewhere, if we have any health issues or things like that, so the food, somewhere I heard, we can even take a suggestion saying any issues in my system, uh, be it illness or any spiritual shortcomings also if they are there. So that is also being, removed with the help of this food. I heard like that. So is this correct understanding or any
Yes,
comment
yes,
on that?
yes. Because he says very clearly, right? So when it is consumed in the right state of mind and in the right way, it fosters our both body as well as the mind. I mean, the spiritual progress, both the things. It affects all the spheres. So it can transform. I mean, we saw that, right? What we consume is what we become in the right way. So if it is consumed in the right way, in the right disposition in the state, it can transform us, not just at the mental level or spiritual level, even it will have a positive effect on the body also. So it can have effect on all the levels. But it doesn't mean it's certainly going to cure things and all that, but it helps us in our overall well-being. It will certainly keep us much healthier. So if we are not consuming the food in the right way, if we maybe we should do this experiment from now onwards, apply this principle, this particular maxim in our lives and see how things change over a period of time. Give yourself 3 months to 6 months and see what change do you see? How does it affect you?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Rachi Joshi.
Namaste, sister. Sister, my question is related to fasting. We have heard, a lot of talks from Daji, which is related to Ekadashi fasting and the process of autophagy and things like that. I would want little more clarity on that. How it is. I understood its scientific reason. It is related how it is benefiting us, but I would want to understand a more in relation with our spiritual progress.
I have very limited understanding of that. I would actually request Brother Raghu later. Whatever little I know, when we do fasting, we are resting our body and we are giving a pause to the digestive system. And also, we are reducing the material heat produced in the body, which is very beneficial for even our spiritual evolution also. Because on one hand, we need heat. The heat is the one which creates the samskaras. And if there is too much of heat, it is also detrimental for us. And if you want to reduce the heat, you will have to reduce the intake of food. So here, the fasting comes in our hand and we should use it in such a way that it helps, it fosters our spiritual evolution. So anything else, brother, you would like to add?
See, quite a few interesting points came about in just listening to the discussions. So we'll just take one by one. First one, what Brother Ravindra talked about, the physical food and the AEIOU. Remember, we have three bodies: the physical body, the mental body, and the spiritual body. Whatever applies to the physical body applies equally to the mental body and to the spiritual body. So that's a principle I want you people to understand. So when Daji talks about AEIOU in the context of spirituality, the conditions, same thing applies to what we take as mental food. What is the mental food that we take? All the kind of learnings that we've got, all the kind of thinkings or ideas that we get from the environment, all the emotions that we take in, all these things are mental food only. So there's a different food for each of the level of our existence. Physical food is one level, so we need to do AEIOU. The body automatically does the AEIOU of the physical food that you eat. The mental food, again the mind does the AEIOU of the mental food that you take. It is in the spiritual component that we need to be more alert, because normally we exist at the physical and mental level by the time we come into meditation, but we don't necessarily exist at the spiritual level. That's where practice becomes necessary for doing the AEIOU and utilizing the AEIOU for our journey. So this one principle you have to apply. That AEIOU applies to all the three bodies. Okay. So that was one important point. Second point I want to just discuss with you people is All of us actually pray when we have the plate of food in your hand. How many people actually pray when you have a cup of tea in your hand?
Or even water.
Exactly. See, when Babuji is talking about food here, he's talking about everything. The gaseous food, the liquid food, and the solid food, all the three put together. So today morning in the class sessions, we were just discussing how many times actually can we remember the divine when we smell something nice coming out of the kitchen? How many times you actually think about it? We are very happy that something nice is being cooked in the kitchen. But beyond that, we hardly think about the divine at that time. Right? So the food can come to us, even the physical food can come to us in three different ways. It can come in a physical form, a liquid form, a solid form, liquid form, and a gaseous form. Right? So can we actually make sure that irrespective of the form of the food that actually comes into our system, that the remembrance of the divine is always there in the background? Because we see, I've hardly seen anybody pray holding a cup of tea in the ashram. Everybody, once they get the plate of food, everybody sits at one place, prays for a few seconds, and then they have the food. Now, what to pray was another question. What do you pray for? Obviously, you will be grateful and you will thank everybody involved in the whole process. But what essentially you are doing is you are giving a thought to the food that it's going to purify your system and help you go towards the center faster. That's the whole point of praying. That you are going to give a thought to the food that it's going to purify your system and help you reaching the source at a faster pace. And there's a question about the purity. Purity is the most important thing that we have to go through. In fact, if somebody were to ask what exactly happens from the first point up to the 12th point, is that you become more and more purer as you go from first one point to the next point. That's all that happens. The more purer you are, the more lighter you are, the more subtler you are, the more refined you are, the more discriminative power you develop, the more stronger the will. Everything is based on one parameter, which is the purity. Now, if somebody were to ask what is the difference between the condition of the 12th point and the condition of the first point, if there is one word answer, it is purity. The condition at the 12th point is highly pure compared to the condition at the first point. However, remember one thing, the center that is there in us, which is an essence of the God or the divinity, that doesn't change. That remains always the same. In fact, all the impurities that we put into the system, that does not touch the soul. Since it does not touch the soul, the center itself is unaffected. Because the one copy of the center actually came into every living being. And that remains unaffected. It's only the other layers outside the center that gets affected. So this is what happens. Now, this is where the last question in terms of fasting, very, very important. If you want to hasten your journey, you please fast. You can say fasting fastens your journey towards the center. Fasting fastens, F-A-S-T-E-N-S, fastens your journey towards the center. Now you want to question how. Now, it's a very, that's why sometimes translation take away the essence of the word, actual word. The actual word is upavas. That's the word. That is translated into fasting in English. That doesn't necessarily convey the correct meaning. Now, what is upavas? Upavas means most of the people think that giving up food for a particular period of time is upavas. That is not upavas. The whole point of the upavas is that you need to stay next to God. Upavas. Upa means next. Vas means staying. Upavas means staying next to God. Staying next to divinity. That's all upavas means. Now, when you don't take the food, you are not strengthening the samskaras. Now look at it this way. Neither the center nor the soul, which is a component of the center, require any food from outside. Why does it require? It is already perfect in itself. Why does it require any food at all? So you are not giving any food neither to the soul or the supreme soul inside. Then what are you doing with the food intake that you are doing? You are actually maintaining the body and the mind. That's all that you are doing. And what do we do with the body and the mind? We allow the body and the mind to go out, interact with the worldly objects, and then form samskaras. So when you eat any food, the food goes to three things in you. It does not go to the soul. It goes to the mind, it goes to the physical body, it goes to the samskaras. These are the three things that you are feeding when you eat anything, for that matter. Now, if at all you want to become more purified, there are two pathways. One pathway is you eat the food in tune with the reality or in the thought of divinity. That is going to help purify the system. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, of course, this will definitely help, but this takes a kind of a slower process, so to say. It does work, but it is a bit slow process. The other process is you actually fast. During the fasting, when you don't take the food, forget about the spiritual angle, even when you don't take the food materially, what happens is the excessive activity of the mind and the body comes down and the samskaras become weak. This is what happens. Now, when the samskaras are actually weak, when I say become weak, what exactly happens? See, samskaras have to stick to our system. When the samskaras are sticking to our system, it is very difficult to dislodge it. It is very difficult to clean it off. When you fast, what exactly happens is you are not feeding the energy to the samskara. So the energy which is being fed to the samskara is now decreased to a certain extent. So when you fast and go take a sitting, you actually get a lot more benefit out of the sitting than otherwise. So one of the things that you can do is make sure that before the sitting, you fast at least for once. So if you have a sitting in the evening, you fast in the afternoon, go have the sitting and then come back and have the food in the thought of the divine. That's the best way of doing it. When you have a sitting in the morning, you don't eat in the night. Go and take the sitting, come back and then eat the food in the thought of the divine. In that way, you're actually going to get a lot more benefit out of just not eating. However, if you don't eat, not only the samskaras actually become weaker. Now look at this situation. You are not eating, but at the same time, you are in the thought of the divinity. That's the best combination that you can have. Both are upavas. Upavas is not eating. That's one meaning. Upavas means staying next to God. That's another meaning. Now, when you can practice both of them simultaneously, that's the best possible practice that you can do. And that will give you the best result. Both upavas. Now, from a physical perspective, physical and a mental perspective, if you fast, for you to get autophagy and other things, you need to fast at least a minimum of 16 to 17 hours. Normally, people eat the food around, say, 7:38 in the night. And then in the morning, they get up and then have the breakfast around 8:39. So roughly, you have a time frame of about 13 to 14 hours. Is that enough to start autophagy? No. It is not enough. For the autophagy to set in, you need to have at least minimum of 16 plus hours between two meals. So the best way of doing it is have the food in the afternoon by around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Morning you should have your breakfast by around 9 o'clock. So within about 5 hours you have had both the meals. And then after that don't eat. You can have some liquids. When you have some liquids, what is the effect of the liquid? We'll discuss. When you have liquids, that's not going to interfere with the fast. You can have liquids without any sugar content. That is not going to interfere with your fast. So you can have buttermilk, you can have green tea, you can have coffee, milk, not milk, coffee, tea, black coffee, herbal tea, green tea, buttermilk, lemon water, any of these things. If you don't put sugar in it, don't make it into lassi. Don't add sugar. That's the best thing that you can do. If you don't add sugar, I'll tell you why the fasting works. When you do the fasting in this way, it is not going to stimulate the insulin cycle. It is the insulin cycle that actually is detrimental for our health. So When you don't add sugar to any of these liquids and have them, you can have 2 or 3 glasses of buttermilk, nothing will happen. You will still get the full benefit of the fasting. You can have 1 tomato, you can have some cucumber. Your fasting is not going to be impacted at all. So that's important to know what to eat, what not to eat during the fasting. Don't do anything that stimulates the insulin cycle. That's the whole point of it. And many people have this habit of eating, what do you say, sprouted grams or sprouted seeds in the evening. That is going to stimulate the insulin cycle. So you're going to lose the effect of the fasting that you're doing. So if you eat sweet dry fruits like anjur or kharjur, that dates, that's also going to impact your effect of the fasting. So don't take any sweet items when you are fasting. That's the rule. Okay. If you want to have dry fruits, you can have non-sweet dry fruits. So no anjur, no dates, no raisins, but you can have others. 3 or 4 pieces of each of those things. That will be very, very helpful. It's not going to impact your fasting at all. Now, the minimum hours is 16 plus for you to get the benefit of autophagy. Now, what would happen if you actually fast longer? The longer you fast, the more the body actually has the capability to set the entire system back to normal. Now, somebody was talking about physical and mental illness and spiritual illness. All illnesses are due to the impurities that we carry. Please underline this. By nature, if we are going to be pure, we are less likely to have any illness. When we actually accumulate impurities in the system, one way of nature clearing the system is actually bringing some of these to samskaras to bhoga, and that creates physical, mental or spiritual illness. So if you want to be away from any physical illness or mental illness or spiritual illness, best way of doing it is fasting. When you do the fasting, it gives time for the body to repair itself. Now, as I said, the repair occurs at all the 3 levels. At the physical level, mental level, spiritual level. All the 3 levels. And that's important for you to keep in mind, because normally when you observe all the videos that you see on the YouTube, it only talks about the physical repair that occurs in the body. Now, all the proteins, all the denatured proteins, the damaged cells, everything is recycled. The body during the fasting optimizes itself. Now let us look at this. What is our spiritual goal? Our spiritual goal is to optimize ourselves. No, we want to be the best version of ourselves. Do we want to be the best version of ourselves only at the spiritual level and not at the mental and physical level? Obviously not. You want to be the best version across all levels. So when you do the fasting, it works across all the 3 levels. In fact, what would happen is for a mental health patient, if they do regular fasting, over a period of time, they'll see that the anxiety and the depression related thoughts come down. Now, I'll tell you what happens in depression. In depression, people don't eat continuously. That in fact a nature's way of trying to repair the depression. What would have happened in depression is the rate of samskar formation would have become more. So the nature gives you the symptom of lack of appetite. You lose your appetite, you lose your hunger, you lose your interest to eat. When you lose your interest to eat and the appetite to eat, what happens is nature is actually trying to protect you from not forming more samskaras. But obviously it's associated with other issues. Sad mood, tiredness. Tiredness is also because the energy which is coming from the soul is being absorbed by all the samskaras. So where is the energy left for you to function at the level of the physical body and mind? There is no energy left. So any patient with depression will complain of tiredness. What to do then? That's why we advise all these patients with depression just 2 cleaning sessions per week. When you take 2 sessions per week cleaning, what is going to happen is we clean the samskaras and we change the eating pattern for the patient. We tell them eat something in the morning, eat something in the afternoon, but anyway nature is conducive for you to fast. Fast in the night, no problem. In that way, you actually optimize what nature is trying to do to help them get better. That is what you do. Now, in terms of what kind of foods, gross food Solid food has gross prana. Liquid food has subtle prana. Gaseous food has subtle prana, subtler prana, more subtle than the liquid. Now, obviously, we don't look at the air that we breathe as food. Nobody thinks about it as food. But of course, it is giving you food, it is giving you oxygen, it is giving you vitality. What you get from air is not just oxygen, it gives you vitality, and that vitality is what is called as prana. And that prana, why not align that prana itself with the thought of the divine? Now we are talking about aligning the thought of divinity to the solid food and then to the liquid food. Of the two, suppose if somebody were to ask you, of the two, which is better? Is it the subtler food that you need to kind of divinize, or the grosser food? Of the two, it is the subtler food, which is the liquid food that actually has much more benefit on you than even the solid food. So if you can actually divinize the liquids that you are taking, see, anyway, doctors will say every day you have to drink at least 2 to 2.5 liters of water. We say that, no? Why not divinize the water? And water is the most natural. We don't do anything to it, right? At least coffee, tea, we have added something. Water, we have not added anything at all. Except, of course, before it comes to us, it will be kind of some minerals will be put to it, but that's all right. That's manageable. Of all the liquid forms that we can take, water is the purest. And 70% of our body is water only. You just imagine 70% is water, and you are drinking water every time with the thought of the divine. How much benefit you will get? The entire water will be replaced by the thought of the divine. And when the water is now getting divinized, the entire system starts getting divinized at a very fast pace. The other thing that you can do is when you are actually having this thought of the breath, many times we actually keep breathing. Occasionally we do remember the breath. Why not actually divinize the breath itself? That you are actually breathing divinity in, and the divinity that you are breathing in is actually helping you to purify the system. That's the easiest thing to do. Whether you like it or not, till the time of death, we have to breathe. Right? Water, at least we can decrease or increase. Solid food, we can decrease or increase. But breath, though, you have to take. Why not divinize the breath itself? So essentially, this maxim starts off with the gross food. But if you actually apply this principle, it extends way beyond the gross food that is mentioned in the maxim. Because what we are trying to do is we are trying to divinize every aspect of our living. Compared to the 7th maxim, the 5th maxim that we read, where we were actually talking about some particular situation, some miseries or somebody doing some wrong and how to handle it. If that were to be the situation, you are going to try to handle it. But you are anyway going to eat every day. You are anyway going to drink water every day. You are anyway going to breathe air every day. Why not divinize these three only? That is going to actually take you the quickest to the center. Because every time you do any of these things, you have the thought that these things are actually purifying your system and helping you go towards the center at a faster pace. That's all. So this should be the approach. So next time we'll see when we come to different places, what are you doing with your cup of tea after your breakfast? Because most of us do not prefer it. Most of us. And I'm pretty much sure that nobody probably would have thought about it also. And liquid has more subtle prana. And it purifies a lot more than the solid food. That is why during the fasting, liquid food is allowed. If you take the liquid food with the thought of the divine during the fasting, that's the best combination that you can have. You're not taking solid food, so the solid food is not going to make your body and the mind and the samskara stronger. So that is not being done. You're taking the liquid food which has subtle prana in it, and the subtle prana works at the subtle body level to clear out the subtle body of the samskaras, of the impurities. That's the best combination that you can have. Now, there are a lot of people, there are varieties of fasting. There is water fasting, there is only liquid only fasting, there is a fruit fasting, there is a certain vegetables that are eaten during the fasting. So there you can have very combinations of fasting. But the best way to fast is only water. Water taken in the thought of divine during the fasting is the best way for fasting. Now, you can fast without water. That can be done, but that's not going to be more beneficial. If you were to compare these two, fasting without water, fasting with water with the thought of divinity, this is better than the first one, where you fast without water. So just keep this in mind. So fasting is one of the most useful tool. Every religion, every spiritual path has spoken about fasting as being an indispensable tool for spiritual journey. Please keep this in mind. Okay. So two more questions. So I've covered most of the points, all the points, important points that each one raised. I think we have covered most of it now. Anand.
So fasting, you're saying we can do it every day, like eat at lunchtime and the next day breakfast can be done every day, not just during Ekadasi or occasional.
Correct. Correct.
That's what I'm
In fact,
hearing.
I'll tell you one thing. If you do this, no, forget about Ekadasi. Ekadasi comes once in 15 days. So in a year, how many days you fast then? So 24 days. Now, if you don't eat every day in the night, you are literally fasting 122 days in a year. So where is 24 and where is 122? It's almost like 5 times. And what we see is that when somebody starts fasting after uh, beyond afternoon, if they fast, what we are going to see is that every aspect of their health improves. And when I say the health, every aspect of their physical health, mental health, and spiritual health, all the three will improve. So just keep this in mind. It's not only at the physical level, at all levels it will work.
I guess then clear vegetable soup also would not count, right? That would be a problem. I mean, sometimes when I fast, I have soup.
Of the two, vegetables and fruits, vegetables are less evil than fruits. And lot of people do the mistake of eating fruits in the night when they fast. You should not eat fruits. Because I told you no sugar.
So
That's
vegetables are
important way to
okay.
think. Vegetables are okay.
Like
Reasonably.
cucumber, tomato.
Not tomato is okay. Anything non-sweet.
Non-sweet.
Non-sweet. So you cannot eat carrot, you cannot eat beetroot. Things which are actually sweet in nature by itself. That you cannot. Other things you can have, no problem.
Okay.
And the thing is, you also need to fast, not in a very methodical, fixed day. That's one thing I want you to do. So don't fix every Saturday I'm going to fast. No, you have to put your body to resilience. So 1 week you fast on a Saturday, next week you fast on a Thursday, third week you fast on a Monday. You need to keep changing the day on which you fast. The body should immediately be able to switch to the fasting mode and accommodate and then be able to do what it's supposed to do. If you actually say that every Saturday I'm going to fast, you know what the body will do? Of course, the body will repair during the time that you are fasting, but prior to that and after that, it will make some compensation. That's exactly what happens in people who fast on Ekadasi. They fast on Ekadasi and on the Dwadasi, they have double the food or varieties of food to compensate for the fact that they have not eaten on the Ekadasi. That's not going to help.
So if I want to have, another question. So related to protein intake, right? So I used to take non-veg, but not since the SNP program started. So I just stopped.
Right? I remember your application and seeing the non-veg there.
Oh, okay.
Most of the application I remember, don't worry. All the people I'm seeing, what you had written in the application, most of us know.
Okay. So I've been thinking about increasing protein sources and stuff.
Oh, yeah, one minute. This is a myth that has been created. How much protein does a person require? As simple as that. Most of the people say that push you saying that you require 1 gram per kg.
Yeah.
Actually, you don't require so much. What you require is about 35 to 40 grams per day. That is all that you require. And that you can get in a small cup of groundnut. If you will groundnut every day, you will get it. Make sure that every day you eat some little bit of different kinds of grams. Okay, so some sprouted grams. Anyway, you will get some amount of protein in the dal that you eat. some sprouted grams or some groundnut, anything that you can make out of different grams or the dal or the sprouts, anything. For example, we can use, I cannot, green gram, various grams, no? Make sure that you eat some amount of gram every day. That is more than enough. You only require about 40 grams per day. For a 70 kilo adult, you only require 40. If you want to have 10 grams extra, it's okay. 50 grams, that is more than adequate for the body. But make sure that you get it from a variety of sources. That's all. So don't keep eating the same gram every day. Make sure that you have a variety of grams. Over the course of the week, you can have different grams. But it should be part and parcel of the breakfast or the lunch. Don't eat it separate in the evening. Because if you eat separate in the evening, there are two things which starts on the insulin cycle. One is carbohydrate, second one is protein. So if you take the protein in the evening, suppose you come home and you have an intake of around, say, 50 grams of groundnut. If you eat it in the evening, that has a different impact than when you eat it in the afternoon along with the full lunch. If you eat it as part of the lunch, it is not going to make a big difference. But if you eat it separately, then that's not good. Start going to start the insulin cycle. It is the insulin cycle that we need to work on. And most of the people forget that. If you look at what Dr. Dishit was talking about in recent Bandara, after Charity's Bandara sitting, Dr. Dishit was talking about diabetes reversal. I don't know how many people saw that presentation, but it's not that difficult as people think. It's very easy. But provided you know how the body actually works and you apply those concepts into your life. Most of the time, we know about, many of the people are ignorant about it. Even when they know, they don't actually make up their mind to actually utilize it for their life. This is what happens. That's why people actually unnecessarily suffer. If all the abhyasis were to be educated, all the perceptors were to be educated, and each of the abhyasi and perceptor were to live at least 5 to 10 years longer, just imagine how much the mission will get benefited. Every abhyasi and every preceptor lives 5 to 10 years longer. Why not? Don't you think all the masters' effort in preparing us would be so much beneficial to the mission? If every preceptor were to stay or live for 5 to 10 years longer, how much would the mission benefit? It will benefit hugely. So anyway, these are concepts that we plan to kind of introduce in a program in possibly in due course of time, where we would want people not only to come and learn about the concept, but we would want them to live applying the concept with us for some period of time and then go back home and apply it. See, we can teach you. Now, obviously, you will learn to some extent, you will remember, after that, you will forget. But if we were to keep you with us for a period of time, say for a week or 10 days, and then we make sure that during the time that you stay with us, you apply all the concepts and you learn the nitty-gritties of it. That is when you will become good at it. And when you go back, you will never forget it. Because it's not something that you have learned, you actually lived that. The moment you live it, there is no question of forgetting it. You'll automatically be able to carry it throughout your life. So that's one of the things that we're actually thinking about. Both for the abhyasis and maybe in due course of time, if you open it to non-abhyasis also, they can also become abhyasis in due course of time. Why not? They might come for a different reason, but they can also take sitting and become abhyasis. So other thing is, if you are getting used to the fasting for about 16-18 hours, then go for a longer fast. That will be even more beneficial. If you fast, say, more than 36 to 40 hours, even the cancer cells will start getting destroyed in the body. And that's a wonderful thing. There are many cancers which respond to fasting. So there are two kinds of cancer. One is a glucose-dependent cancer. Other one is a glucose-independent cancer. Most of the cancers which are glucose-dependent are because of excessive sugar intake. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are continuously eating sugar in one form or the other. And that actually promotes the cancer formation and proliferation. So in those glucose-dependent cancers, the moment you fast for a longer time, say for rather than just one day, you fast for 1.5 days, 2 days, sometimes 2.5 days, you will just see wonderful results. The cancer starts shrinking. Second thing is the cancer independent, the glucose independent. Even there, to a certain extent, you actually slow down the proliferation of the cancer. Although it might not respond fully to just to the fasting, but you slow down the proliferation of the cancer because you're not giving the food that is necessary for the cells to multiply. The cell multiplies because of the glucose, and you don't give glucose. So in glucose dependent cancer, you are not giving glucose, so they cannot multiply, not they can survive. But in a glucose independent, they cannot multiply faster because you are not giving glucose, although they can survive. So fasting works for all cancers, majority of them. And it's so that's why in Ayurveda, fasting is called as Ramabhana. For every illness, they use fasting as a treatment for every illness. Of course, there are certain conditions where you need to be very careful when you're fasting. So somebody is diabetic and they're already taking insulin, then they need to be careful while fasting. They need to change the dose of the insulin. Otherwise, that's going to cause other problems. They will go into hypoglycemia. So there are many issues, but these nitty-gritties you learn when we actually start the program. So there is some discussion about starting the program. We'll see how it kind of pans out. Okay. Anyway,
Brother, just a question. Is there a age limit, like can people from 16 years starting, they can keep, or
anybody fast.
if we
In
have
our house, my
younger?
daughter also fasts. No problem. It doesn't matter. In fact, if you fast from a younger age, that's the best thing. In fact, my daughter's classmates also fast, not because of the meditation, but because they are attached to a mata. And they are taught to fast on the Ekadasi. So when you start off at a younger age, you can fast on a Ekadasi day. One day, every 15 days, that's okay. But as you come to around 40, 45 plus, it's better to give one-time food. That's the best way of doing it. Once you cross 60, 65, it's better to give a 2 times food. You just eat once. That is more than adequate. And if you eat once, you actually live longer. Okay?
Sure, brother. Yeah.
Shrikant?
Actually, a few days back, I did what you suggested right now. OMAD was what they call 1 meal a day. And yeah, it was very beneficial. Next day morning, I felt lighter. But the problem is at home, they associate care with feeding. They would treat me like an emergency pay. Oh, no, you should have breakfast. And also, brother, you answered this question that like I was about to ask, and you said that see, like 16 hours, it'll trigger the autophagy, and you said if you do it longer, it'll benefit. So, what is the upper, maximum that we can go, brother? Because
Fasting.
practically we'll have to go outside and work, and because mentally there will be this consciousness that I'm not eating. I think that also will play a part. So, what is the maximum so that we can program that it's okay, kind of?
No, you have to do
So,
it
how many
gradually
hours
because
can we stretch?
1 minute. You can do it gradually. It depends on your system and your tolerability. It should be more and more natural. In fact, once you kind of get used to the likings of the fasting, you'll actually see that you actually like fasting more than eating. That's our natural flow.
Nowadays, I have skipped night, and I'm really, getting benefited.
I have seen you. You require a lot of those days. So don't worry. I
And
keep seeing
also
you in the ashram.
non-vegetarian, I think Virat Kohli's example is a classic example. He's an excellent athlete also, and he has shared that due to non-vegetarian food, he had developed crystals and pain and stuff like that. And now that he has shifted to plant-based diet, he says he's more energetic and agile and strong also. So he's an excellent case for plant-based diet.
This is a myth created that non-veg diet is essential for health and life. That's a myth. Okay, so that let us not kind of fall for that myth. Second thing is that egg is essential for life, for protein, for muscle building. That's another myth. That's because of the marketing of the dairy industry. That's all it is, nothing else. Prior to 1970s and 80s, no, not many people were eating egg. They have hammered the people with this advertisement that if you don't eat egg, you are not going to get protein. And people have started believing in the myth because it's been hammered so much into their mind. So you don't require egg for getting good protein. Many vegetarians. In fact, I'll tell you one secret. If you fast more than 18 or 24 hours, growth hormone is released in the body. The growth hormone actually helps you increase the muscle mass. So after fasting, when you eat, the protein that you take will actually go towards building the muscle mass because you are primed the body with the growth hormone. So it's a proven medical fact that after a certain number of hours, the growth hormone is released into the bloodstream. So when you eat the food next time around, the growth hormone will actually act on the proteins and convert the protein into the muscle mass. So people who actually regularly fast for adequate duration, then they actually don't lose muscle mass. And many people think that, okay, I'm losing muscle mass. Actually, you don't lose muscle mass. What exactly happens is the body is very intelligent. It does not allow you to lose anything that is required. What you lose is you have stored fat and glucose as glycogen in between the muscle cells. That is what is lost during the fasting. So the first thing is the glycogen is lost. Then over a period of time, the fat which is there in between the muscle cells are also lost. That's why it appears as if the muscle mass becomes less. But if you are very active physically, the muscle mass will maintain even simple activities of yoga. And if you want to maintain a bit more muscle mass, you can go for gym, half an hour gym, 15 minutes gym, doesn't matter. But you need to keep the context of why you are going for the gym. You are not going there to build huge amount of muscles. You're just there to kind of keep the muscle in a good working order. That's all. And that's a very important thing to keep. And as far as maximum is concerned, in the Western countries now, we have fasting hospitals. You get admitted there to fast. Okay? And we might laugh at it, but it is there. In many countries, it is there. Fasting hospitals. So their job is to just monitor you during the time when you fast. They'll monitor you and adjust your medications accordingly. That's all. Now, in India, safely, if somebody is not on any medications, they can easily fast up to 24 to 36 hours. So one of the easiest thing to do is eat in the Saturday afternoon, then Saturday evening don't eat, whole day Sunday don't eat, Monday morning have your breakfast. That's one of the best way of doing fasting. Because anyway, Saturday, Sunday will generally be holidays. You are staying at home. You are not doing any strenuous work. You have a option of not going out anywhere. You can actually take rest. Then do any 2 holidays that you get fast, and you get the full benefit of the fasting. But as I said, the fasting should be associated with the thought of the divine. That's the best combination. Not just eating, not eating. Okay. So as you grow, we have actually done fasting for 2.5, 3 days. We have not extended up to 4, 5 days. As you say, there will be too much of family pressure to tolerate. So they'll be behind you. When are you going to eat? When are you going to eat? But you can easily fast. Up to 3, 4 days, easily you can fast. It's not a big thing. And especially more so when you are taking liquids, it's much more easy to fast for a longer period of time. This time when we went to Krishna Janmashtami, all of us who had gone to Krishna Janmashtami in our car, all of us fasted for 42 hours. All of us were fine, actually. So once you kind of get used to it and you like it, no, you will find it easy, and you will also want to do it more and more. But you don't see anything in excess is bad for spirituality. So if you want to fast for 5 days, 10 days, that might not be necessary for spirituality. So if you can fast for 1 or 2 days at the most, that is enough for spiritual journey, because moderation in the fasting also is necessary. We don't need to overdo it. Okay? Shamla?
Namaste, brother. I want to ask us, suppose people are going to Kashi and then leave some thing which they like it very much. Is there any progress in spiritual?
Not in Kashi, that is in Gaya. In Gaya, they'll ask you, leave 5 things that are your favorites. And the first thing that comes to top of mind, everyone's mind, is wife. Okay. So most of the people who want to live. When I went to Gaya almost like 12, 13 years back, when we had gone to Gaya, that fellow asked, I was just thinking, what to tell this fellow? He said favorite. I thought, let me find out something that I might not eat as much. You know the black grapes, the black grapes with the seeded one. That's not very sweet, no? It has also has some kind of sour taste or bitter taste inside when you bite it. So I thought, anyway, I'm not going to eat black grapes, so I will give up black grapes. So people have different notions, but the point is, in Gaya, remember, you are going there to remember your forefathers, ancestors. And the whole point of trying to give up something favorite is to actually decrease the strong intensity of the likes and dislikes. That's what you're actually trying to do. Most of the people look at it as no, no, there was something favorite, so they just take it in a very jovial way. But actually, if you give up the most favored food that you have, the favorite 5 things they'll ask, if you give up that most favored things, you're actually developing vairagya. That's what you're developing. So it can be utilized in a very positive spiritual way, but that is not in Kashi, it's more in Gaya. Although they do similar practice in Kashi also, but it has no specific spiritual benefit until it's looked at it from this particular angle. That you're actually giving away something that you like the most. So in that way, you're developing resilience in the system to be able to lead a life without that. That means that spiritually you're becoming a bit more stronger. To that extent, it's okay. But otherwise, there's no special spiritual benefit for that. But if you read 44 Whispers, Lalaji and Krishna sends Babaji to Gaya and Bodh Gaya. Buddha is very insistent that you have to go to Gaya, purify the place. Lot of mischief have been done. So Babaji goes there and stays there for a few days, and he charges the entire Gaya. Then he goes to Bodh Gaya again, charges the whole place there. So if you visit Gaya and Bodh Gaya now, whether you actually do the rituals there or not, you still get benefit. And the thing is, for people who actually do the rituals of the ancestors regularly, if they go to Gaya once and do the performance of the rituals for the ancestors once there is no need for you to anymore do the practices here after coming back. So that's one thing. So that's a way out of trying to do the rituals throughout your life. That's not there in Kashi. It's there in Gaya. Gaya Asura was a a demon, but he is a worshipper of Lord Vishnu. So there is a story, and he asks a boon that anybody who comes to Gaya should get liberation. And Vishnu gives him the boon that he's going to stay there and then he's going to fulfill his wish. So that is the story. I can't remember the full details, but that's the story. That's the reason why if you go to do Gaya and then perform the last rituals there, you don't need to do it after coming back. It's been done for the ancestor soul forever. You don't need to repeat it. Otherwise, if you don't do it, you are supposed to do it till you are alive, till you are hale and healthy. You are supposed to do it. Of course, that is a different issue. Who is supposed to get it? Who is not supposed to be done? Anybody who is liberated, there is no need for any rituals. The 13-day rituals, there is no need. It's only for the people who are in the Pinda Pradesh that this is necessary, the rituals. But that's a different topic. We will discuss another day. Kishore Bhatt.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, brother. So my question is regarding fasting. So you were mentioning in afternoon if we have, and then evening we can skip. What like is it like we what is the amount like we are supposed to? Because when I do on Ekadashi, uh, I feel like around 3 or 4 o'clock afternoon in the evening. Obviously, I also work same day. I am on duty, so I feel that cravings for the food or something to have it. And especially I felt when I completed the fasting, it was very much as if like it is food is rushed to or the energy suddenly released in the body. It was very much heaviness kind of thing or something like that, intoxication type of thing, like suddenly so much energy or what it is. So how should we do this afternoon? Because you said we can do it regularly and it would help more in general. Otherwise I take food in a limited amount only every time, all the 3 times. But should I increase? I'm asking because I should not go to the other side where I'm depriving body a lot and I am facing some stomach ache due to the low energy or things like that, which I felt little bit this time when I was on fast Ekadasi.
lot of people try this, decreasing the quantity of food while eating 3 times. That does not give any benefit. You're only making yourself calorie deficient, and that's not going to be a good state to be in. So if you eat adequately. So if you eat in the morning and lunch, eat adequately. There is no need to reduce the calories. But give up the food in the night. When you eat adequately, this issue that you are facing will not come up. Over a period of time, the body will get used to it. That itself is the solution for your problem. So when you try to be calorie deficient each time that you eat, remember one thing. Suppose you eat 2 times adequately, and in the night you reduce it to such an extent. Many abhyasis, many patients come and tell us, I eat only 1 chapati, I eat only 1 idli, I eat only 1 dosa in the night. But that is going to start the insulin cycle. It is not the quantity of the food that you eat, it is the starting of the insulin cycle. That is the problem. So you should not do anything to restart the insulin cycle later in the evening. That's all. That's the hypothesis. Now, the reason why you feel hunger pangs when you have given up the food and tiredness is because your insulin levels will be on the higher side after eating 3 times regularly for so many years. You might not have got diabetes, but before that, we have insulin levels at a higher level, and that causes problem. So when we start fasting, the first 2-3 weeks is a real challenge because it's like you're dependent on glucose, and that dependence on glucose is now going to cause withdrawal symptoms. So there are quite a few withdrawal symptoms. You might have burning sensation in the stomach, gastric symptoms. You might have churning in the stomach. You might feel extremely tired. You might not get sleep. You might feel totally confused and dizzy or heaviness. All these things are part and parcel of the withdrawal symptoms from the food that you've been eating so many years. When you give up the food for the first time in the night, in the first 3-4 weeks, you have all these symptoms. That's why I told you these are the things that you can eat to avoid these kinds of symptoms. Over a period of time, the body will get used to it, and these issues will automatically settle by itself. Within 4 to 6 weeks, it will settle. We don't need to do anything.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one more follow-up question. Regarding food, what I heard is like we can have 75% food or maybe till 80 max, then some space for the water and some for the air also. We should not have full stomach anytime. So what is adequate? Can you just mention some on that?
Very simple example. Adequate food is that you should feel light even after eating the food adequately. That is adequate food. Have I eaten right? After eating the food, if you feel heavy, you have eaten more than what is necessary, and that's going to create grossness. It might be the purest food that you have eaten, but if you have eaten in a quantity that's more than necessary, it is going to give you a feeling of heaviness. If you have eaten the food adequately, you will still continue to feel light after eating the food. That is the only simple measure. You cannot manage it by different grams or calories, nothing of that kind. This is a very easy method. After the food, you should still feel light. If you're still feeling light after the food, without compromising on the quantity of the food that you eat. Over a period of time, you will work out what is the quantity of the food that I can eat, still feel light after eating the food. That is the adequate quantity for you. And that will vary for each one of us, depending on the kind of food that we eat. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Tin Mozi?
Namaste, brother. What you suggested, morning breakfast and lunch, instead of that, what we are doing is at 10:30 we have our so-called brunch. It's a lunch, preponed lunch, and around 6:30 or 7 we have our dinner. So versus what you said, how will this be better? Because of the myth that night you will not feel sleepy if you can't sleep peacefully if your stomach is not filled with food. So, which would you suggest to be a better
We have
regime?
worked out all combinations. Whatever
Yes,
I told
brother.
is the best.
Okay, morning breakfast and afternoon lunch. Skip dinner.
Don't have too much early morning breakfast. So don't eat at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So wait till around 9, 9:30, at least 10. Something like between 9 and 10. That's okay.
Okay.
So if you can eat beyond 10 o'clock, that's also fine. But the evening food, the afternoon food should be around 2 o'clock or 2:30, maximum 3. So 10 and 3, that is 5 hours.
Okay.
That means if you have eaten these two things in 5 hours, you have 19 hours gap between the two meals. Next, breakfast.
Okay.
That is where you actually get. See, I said 16 plus hours. The number of hours after 16 hours is the actual benefit that you get.
Okay.
So if you are fasting for 17 hours, the actual benefit is for 1 hour only.
Okay.
You got the point?
Yes,
So if
yes,
you
yes,
fast for 19 hours, the actual benefit is for 3 hours only.
But this we are doing it on a daily basis.
Your thing, whatever you told me, you are aligned to the myth that if you don't have food in the night, in
Yes,
the
brother.
evening, that you are not going to get good sleep. That is not right at all.
Okay.
In fact, you will get a very good sleep, very good quality of sleep if there is no food in the stomach.
Okay.
That's something that you have to get used to. You're not used.
Yes. Yeah,
You're
I'm
used
not
to one
used.
pattern of sleep, which is
Correct.
associated with the food in the stomach.
Right.
Now you need to get used to other pattern of sleep where there's no food in the stomach. And you will see the difference in the quality of sleep. You will sleep very well without the food in the stomach.
And a
If I
connected
give you the
question.
option of taking liquids. Liquids is
Okay.
not going to make any big difference in terms of other non-sugary liquids.
Non-sugary and no milk.
No fruit juices, no milk, nothing of that
Right.
kind.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Only
all.
thing is, brother, morning the activity level will be higher, isn't it? For any of us, as the day goes, you slow down. Physical activity is what I mean is. So still this regime is okay with respect to that
That's
also.
more than adequate.
More
Because
than it.
whatever food you eat, it releases the energy over the next 4 to 6 hours. So if you eat the food around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, it releases energy over the next 4 to 6 hours, which is like 7 to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the night. What are you going to do after 9 o'clock? You're not going to do any physical exercise after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
No,
All
no,
that
not
you
in
do
the
is you
night.
will sit at one place and then do something. That's all.
Okay.
So that's the
Right.
best thing that you can do.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
Satya?
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, what can we understand by this spiritual diseases, sir?
Any good quality in excess is a spiritual disease.
Any quality?
Any good quality in excess is a spiritual disease.
Any good quality in excess.
You say that you want to be truthful, and every time you are truthful, you see that everyone is getting harmed. Why do you want to be truthful? You say that you want to be very good to people and help people. So in the context of helping people, you go on taking loans and helping people. Why do you want to put yourself in trouble? So any good quality in excess, which is going to be detrimental for the self and the family, is a spiritual disease.
Okay, sir.
It could be
Thank
any
you.
good quality.
Okay.
Remember,
good
we
quality.
have to go beyond the good and the bad. And so there should be moderation in the good also and the bad also. And many times what we do is we want to give up the bad and then substitute that with good. And that creates immoderation in the good. And that's not good for your spiritual journey. Moderation in the good qualities also, moderation in the bad qualities also. So that over a period of time, it is the moderation that will actually take you to the center. One quality that needs to be developed to go to the center is moderation. You remember the PCMB?
PCMB.
The center, the characters of the center. You remember the PCMB?
I don't remember, sir. PCMB.
Perfect peace, perfect calmness, perfect moderation, perfect balance.
Yeah, you said
That is
once.
PCMB.
Perfect calmness, perfect peace, and perfect
moderation, perfect balance.
Okay.
That is what you require to go to the center. That is the condition of the center.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Satyanarayana, another Satyanarayana.
Yeah. Namaste, doctor. How about diabetic people? They always have an apprehension that night 15 hours fasting and will affect them, and because they are under insulin or tablets and all that.
I told you, for those people with diabetes, we need to see them what is that medication that they're taking, how they can actually taper while actually incorporating this lifestyle. That is why we would want them to call them and actually be at a place so that we can actually help them work out how they can actually manage their medicines while actually decreasing their sugar levels. Okay, so that's not something I can give you as a general advice. That can only be done when we actually see each patient. But it is quite possible that we can actually take people off insulin, take people off unnecessary drugs, keep the drugs minimally, while actually they work on their issues and bring down the illness because of the use of the fasting. So it's quite
So
possible.
any
But
chance
give
of
you a general guidelines saying that okay, you decrease the insulin this and this. That
no,
cannot
no,
be. It depends on each person.
no, any chance of that being convened in Bangalore?
It will be Bangalore only. Definitely it will be Bangalore only. Okay, so we will anyway keep you posted on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Srinivas?
Brother, my question is, does the plant undergo pain, suffering, and emotion when it is cut for our consumption, human consumption,
Yes.
Similar to the animal, which undergoes pain, suffering, and emotion when it is being killed for our consumption, human consumption.
I said yes.
Yes, sir. So does it not attract grossness?
Definitely, to a certain extent.
Okay.
Definitely, to a certain extent. See, remember one thing. The point is, the higher the life form, more aspect of the expression of the divinity. See,
Okay.
remember, why did the creation come about? Creation has come about as a way of the infinite to express itself in infinite ways. That is the creation. In creation, what is happening is the infinite or the absolute is trying to express itself infinitely in infinite forms.
Okay.
Depending on the form that the infinity takes, what exactly happens is that the expression of the divinity is different. So Jagdeep, please mute yourself. So that is why if you take the life forms, the higher the life form, more the expression of the divinity. That's why we say human birth is the most appropriate for realizing the divine because we have the best possible expression of the divinity in us. Many people have gone to this level of thinking that a dog's life and a human life is equal. Definitely not. Our ancestors had this common sense that a higher life form is always an expression of a better expression of the divinity than the lower life form. So it is given when you actually look at what Vedas say about eating food, the plants and the plants are vegetable kingdom is actually created for the sake of consumption by the humans. Now, it's not that with the intention to kill that you are going to actually pluck the plants. That's not what your intention is. When you actually eat the food with that particular intention of trying to make yourself better. Sister mentioned one point while presenting earlier that the food also will actually get the benefit while we also get the benefit from the food. So it's a mutually beneficial thing. Now, if you were to look at the expression of life in the plant form, by actually consuming it, you are allowing that life form to now express in a different way, in a much better way, much higher way. So you are actually essentially evolving that. So that from that particular perspective, where compared to the plants, the mind of the animals is far more expressed.
Okay.
See, compared to the animals, the mind of a human being is far more expressed. So Babaji says that in minerals and plants, the expression of the life form or the mind is very dormant. The samskaras are also dormant. The mind is also in a very dormant state. The conscious is also not fully expressed. So those things are actually meant to be, in a way, we are actually helping them to evolve to the next level. Although we never actually go and pluck a plant saying that I want to kill the plant. That's not the intention with which we actually consume any plant. So just keep this in mind, the intention and the kind of structure that is created by nature for evolution of different life forms from one level to the higher level.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
ಆಯ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲರದು ಆಯ್ತಾ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸು ಆಯಿತು ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಫಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದಿರಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಫಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ I would like to hear from all of you, how many people actually have fasted over the course of the next few days for longer hours, not for 12 hours, 13 hours. Most of us are used to 12, 13. That is not going to restore the health. Faster, longer hours is what is going to restore the health. And other thing, I'll tell you one simple thing, simple rule. When you eat, the energy that you get by 1 gram of glucose or carbohydrate is 4 calories, 4 kilocalories. By 1 gram of protein, 4 kilocalories. But when we are overweight and we actually fast and we burn 1 gram of fat, we get 9 kilocalories. So even though you fast, you actually get more energy. Although you eat, you get less energy. This is what happens. And the why I said 4 to 6 weeks is like a critical period is you need to switch from carbohydrate metabolism to fat metabolism. That is the switch, and it takes about 6 weeks for the switch to occur. Once the switch occurs, and then you know how to kind of operate the switch either way, then you can switch on this side or that side at ease, with ease. But when you are trying to establish this switch for the first time, it's going to be a bit difficult, and that's why you will have a bit of a challenge the first time that you are doing it. But 4 to 6 weeks, you will settle down. And the more you do it, within about 6 months or 1 year, you will find it very easy. Okay. I think Prachi wanted to ask, I think I don't know whether she got tired or she got the answer, whatever it is.
No, brother, you asked a question, no? How many of you fasted? So I was answering for that, yeah.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
No, I was answering for that by raising hand. I don't have a question.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you're fasting, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Good. But I told you if you fast the right way, it will fasten
Yes.
your journey towards the center. So now
Sure.
just look at how is it that you are fasting? What times are you actually allowing between two meals? The longer time between two meals, and can you align the thought of the divinity even while fasting? And then utilize the fasting for your sittings. That will be the best combination that you can use to get overall benefit at all the 3 levels.
Sure, brother.
Okay. Good luck then. Good luck to all the people who are fasting, and good luck to all the best wishes for all the people who are about to start fasting. Okay. Namaste then. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Welcome
kind.
again.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, sister.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Brother, one question.
ಇನ್ನೇನ್ ರೀ ಗೀತಾ ಅವರೇ?
ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ. ಅದೇ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲಂಚ್ by 2 o'clock, and then you can fast for the whole night, for the whole evening, till 10 o'clock morning.
Correct.
Okay.
ಆದ್ರೆ ಸಕ್ಕರೆ ಕಾಲ ಇದ್ದು ನೀವು ಶುಗರ್ ಮಾತ್ರೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹೈಪೋಗ್ಲೈಸಿಮಿಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದಷ್ಟೇ. If you are taking sugar tablets, just be careful. This is for people not on any medication.
Okay.
So this is for people not on any medication. They can start from today only.
Okay.
But the people who are on medication, we need to kind of taper it according to the needs.
Okay. I don't have diabetic, brother.
No, that's right. So I'm just kind of clarifying. People start and then end up tomorrow morning in the emergency. I followed what Raghu brother said in the talk, and then I've gone into emergency. I don't want that to come.
No, brother, no.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Namaste then. Thank you. Thank you, sister, Madhuri sister. Thanks for your time, waiting so patiently till the end of the session.
It's very educative, and there are a lot of questions about fasting. I mean, health is such a fascinating subject that the questions are never ending, basically.
But again, see, fasting, we had actually given up. The research in fasting is now driven by the Western countries, not by India, by the Western countries. All the things I told you is research done by the Western countries only, not by Indians. Although we had concept of fasting for ages, Ayurveda has included fasting as the Ramabana for everything. But we never actually studied it in the context of how it works, and then where exactly the changes happen, and how can we actually get the full benefit out of it. None of it actually, we never studied even. We see many of the concepts that is given by ancestors, we don't study at all. You know what happens? The same concepts they follow, they do the studies, and we read the studies and then say that, oh, this is working.
It's very similar to yoga. Now
Exactly.
they have done so much of research compared to us.
Exactly. So it comes back to us, and then we say that yoga is beneficial for everyone. Why
Yes.
should you not do the studies yourself?
Yes.
We are very reluctant to do it. That's the problem. The same thing is going to happen actually with mental health also. See what we are doing with mental health, all the patients with using meditation as a treatment. Nobody actually believes it. Nobody gives you an opportunity to talk about it also. But when it comes from the Western, they'll just lap onto it, saying that, oh, this is what they are saying, so we want to follow it. So we have become a slave of the Western mentality to that extent. Unfortunately, we don't have any independent thinking mind. So
I
hopefully,
just had one last question. This longer period of fasting, how frequently do you suggest? I mean, the normal fasting of 18 hours or 19 hours, apart from that?
every day, normal fasting, about 17, 18 hours. At least once a week, longer fasting. That would be the best combination. That is more than adequate to manage every illness. So that also gives you the space if you want to go to a marriage hall, have on an occasional, you have to go and have socialization and then eat once in a while in the evening also. That compensates for this. That's okay. So every day in the evening, give up, especially after 45. And once in a week at least, go for a longer fast. But if you want on the, say, for example, Saturday afternoon you had, and then you are going for a longer fast on Sunday. If you want to eat some vegetables, on that day, if you want to eat some amount of carrot also is fine. Because anyway, you're going for a longer fast. So even the sweet vegetables also on that day is fine.
Oh.
Okay. So it depends on you will work out the combinations over a period of time. Okay. So once a week at least.
Okay.
That's the best thing.
Thank you.
Giving up one time a meal, you are prolonging your life by at least 5 to 10 years. As simple as that.
Okay, then after that, one activity is listed here.
Good night, Agar. Okay. No problem.
Okay. Good night.
Namaste, sister. Bye then.